Are the I gottas in your life driving you nuts? What if it didn't have to be that hard?
Mindset strategist Belanie Dishong and business strategist Michele are done with watching entrepreneurs losing their money, their families, and their sanity. They are clear that successful business owners have mastered two things: the strategy to build their business and the mindset to fuel it. So they're doing something about it. Welcome to Mind Your Own Business.
Welcome. Welcome to Mind Your Own Business. I'm Belanie Dishong. I'm your mindset strategist, and
I'm Michele, and I'm your business strategist for the day. So, how did we get here, Belanie? Why don't you tell them about you first? Let's start there.
okay, great. This is my 27th year to be a mindset coach. And 1993 is when I started my Live It Choice business. And in that point is about helping people to discover the things that prevent them from living the greatest version of themselves. That chatter in the mind that interrupts the things you want to create and have in your life and directs you off into a mindset that's not so empowering, not so loving, not so supportive and caring. So I began that in 1993 and moved fast forward. I decided to start working my business with entrepreneurs, and that was in 2005. I met Michele Sism in 2010. I met Michele in 2010. And Michele is this incredible business strategist of whom she will share herself with you. And at that point, we began to notice that as she coached entrepreneurs, she found that there were issues in mindset, things that prevented entrepreneurs from excelling and climbing to the ladder of success. I began to notice, as I worked with entrepreneurs, that I could work the mindset, but what was missing was the strategy to develop and move past those places where they got stuck logistically in their business. And so we began to work together in 2000 and about 11,
Yeah,
11 or 12.
We met in December 2010. So.
That's correct.
Yeah.
So I'm going to turn it over to Michele because hence here we are. We've helped a lot of businesses over these years become highly successful in their endeavors of all forms of business. So I'll let Michele share some of that with you.
Yeah, a little bit
Go
about
for
me.
it. Yes.
Okay, cool. So I am a third generation entrepreneur. I was born into a family that had kids to guarantee they had employees. So I grew up working in our grocery store. I actually learned to crawl in the grocery store. I mean, literally, the school bus dropped us off at the grocery store. So my family had 4 businesses when I was born, and that just continued to grow. If we thought we could make a dime at it, we did it. And so I spent my entire life learning from, right next to my dad and my grandfather on how to build those businesses. I went to school, got an accounting degree because I knew that if I understood the numbers, I could do anything I wanted in this world. So I love the strategy. I love building business. I've had massive success. I sold a company for a nice big old chunk of change, okay, a trucking company. And I also know what it feels like the day the bank called and said, hey, you owe us $1.5 million. And we're looking for our money. Where is it, right? So I know what it feels like to be at the top. I know what it feels like to be at the bottom. And after we sold the trucking company, I went into this, what am I going to do? And actually, guys, because we have a room full of realtors here, I spent a couple of years flipping houses. And I really, really loved it until the credit dried up in 2009. And there was nothing that last house sat for a long time. And I thought, no, I'm not going to do that anymore. And so I began Decisive Minds in 2010 as a business strategist. What's funny is that I'm the introvert, the extrovert, the introvert. I don't really like to be in front of people. So I created that first year I was going to build my business without leaving my house, behind my computer. Yeah. And so, after I spent a whole lot of money and made absolutely none, and my dad said, I don't think you're in business, right? So, yeah, when your dad knows what he's doing and he tells you you're not in business, you're in trouble. And the phone rings one day, and it's a lady who says, you don't know me, but I'm the director of eWomen in Houston, and I would like you to come speak at my luncheon. And I had written a book at that point. She's like, just come talk about your book. And I said, great. I said, have you heard about my second book? And she said, no, what is it? I said, it's called Take Action, Get Profits, 5 Steps to Massive Online Success. She goes, oh, that's fantastic. I hung up the phone and thought, I got to write that book because I made it up on the spot, okay? Because the first book I wrote was crap. Can we say that on TV? It was bad.
We can on yours.
Okay, on my TV we can.
Yeah.
So here's the long to that story is I did write that book because you can write a book in like a weekend if you want to.
And published it, and printed it.
And I did everything in 2 weeks and got there to speak, and they sat me at her table. She was the table host that they sat me at for my very first speaking engagement ever. And guys, I'm telling you, this introvert, I was like this, sitting at the table. I hadn't even got up yet. And she passes me this little card that says, what is,
So let me back up a second. When I first got there for the same event, and I checked in at the desk that I was there, and the managing director for the networking group said, you're going to love the guest, and you are the right person to be sitting there with her. And I said, okay, great, awesome. The speaker, not the guest, but the guest speaker. And so I sat down. So yes, she was seated, and the table was just going. And there's 8 of us there. People begin to look around. Who's
levitating the table?
Levitating the table. And we're going to take off any minute. She must be the director of some spaceship, you know. So I took a business card and I just wrote on the back, "You got this, honey." Oh. And I slid it over like that. Now, little did I know that was the first time she's ever got in front of a group to speak.
Yeah.
But I just knew that you got this is what it was going to take. And she read it and nailed it. So go for what happened.
Yeah, so it was fabulous. From that point on, we've been in business together. We've been friends together. I want to back up. I'm going to tell y'all one more story because y'all haven't met her husband, Doug, and Doug is amazing. But Doug was the first person to come into that room that day and come straight over to me and not introduce himself, but tell me about his wife. Okay? He stood there and told me all about his wife. And he made her out to be this. I mean, she was something, right?
Now,
So
he was there to network for himself.
He was there to network
for himself. He has his
himself.
own business. He's a pool builder, right?
Yes.
But go ahead.
So I'm setting up my table, and Doug, he is telling me all about his wife and how she's going to be there in a little while. And it's one of those moments I will never forget. All of a sudden, there's a lot of people in this room. I see the doors fly open, and in walks Belanie. And pretty much how I remember it.
Yeah, you're like, that's her.
That was her. Oh, I knew. I hadn't even been introduced yet. I'm like, that's his wife right there. So, yes. And you know, the rest is history.
Big deal on her, though. She got up and spoke. There were like 90-something people in the room.
Yeah.
It was a nice networking luncheon. And she closed 90, like 92 or 93 people bought her book that day.
They each handed me a check for like $100 for a course I was creating. So, you know, I made a nice big chunk of change for a 15-minute speech and thought, okay, I can do this. I called my coach and said, you were right, and I can do this.
Right.
And here we are.
Became her very client.
She did. So.
So I met up with her, and we set an appointment. I bought her book, and I said, but I need you. I don't know what I need, but I need you. And so booked an appointment. I had my mindset handled. That was never the issue at that time. The strategy was missing in my business. I was the most powerful, incredible, for-profit, nonprofit company you would have ever known. And Michele took me from nothingness to 6 figures in the first year. So it was, and then up from there, doubled every time after that. Mm-hmm. That's where Michele took me. But I will tell you this, because this is you tell me when I have to stop, right?
I will.
So this is how we wing it with each other, right? I sat across the table from her in my kitchen, and I prepared her a nice lunch, and I watched her move the food around on her plate with her fork, and I thought, okay, she doesn't like that, she doesn't like this. And finally I said, so what is it going to cost me to work with you? And she told me, and I said, okay, great, scoot all that stuff back in because we're going to talk some more. Because there is no way I can pay that. because I didn't have the strategy. And she says, oh, don't worry about it. I said, what do you mean? She says, you'll pay me because we're going to build this business. And that's when I took the biggest leap of my life. The biggest leap of my life was I could tell when she said to me, we're going to build this business, it won't matter. And I signed. And we built the business. So that's like, I thank God I had the mindset to hear that and step in it. So that's what we're all about, right?
Right.
I had spent, well, from 93 to
17 years, I think.
17 years.
Well, we'll do it again.
Hey,
No.
listen, Sherry. I've been
This is Bruce May. On my show, I talk a lot about how to build an automated marketing system to capture and nurture more leads and help you grow your business. You do this by entering contacts into the system where they can be nurtured by sharing content that helps educate them about their needs and your solutions. When you nurture leads this way, you drive more business into your sales funnel and ultimately close more deals. To do this, you need an automated marketing platform, and Keep has one of the best ones I've seen. It's easy to use and even comes with a campaign builder that has a drag and drop canvas so you can easily drag key elements onto the canvas and link them up. The best part about Keep is that it starts at only about $100 per month, so any business can afford to use it. If you want to begin using automated marketing techniques to grow your business, go to growsolutionstv.com/keep and fill out the form. We will put you into contact with a Keep solution provider that can help you get started. That's growsolutionstv.com/keep. Get started today and grow your business to new levels with Keep, the automated marketing platform.
Welcome back to Mind Your Own Business. We are here with our segment guest, Sherry Campbell. And so, Sherry, I know that you're here in Houston. You've been a realtor in Houston for a long time, like what, 15 years you were telling me?
Yes.
So,
Yep. Been in the business here for 15 years,
which
and
means you've seen
Yeah.
a lot of changes, a lot of different things. And Belanie, you were telling me some very cool things before we got started, but go ahead. Why don't you start?
I'm real interested to ask Sherry, because she's with Energy Corridor.
Energy Realty
Oh,
in
I
the
always
Energy
wanted-
Corridor. Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's do that again. Okay, ready?
Yeah.
So Sherry, your real estate office is located where?
In the Energy Corridor,
Okay.
and it's called Energy Realty. So there's a reason for that.
All right. Well, tell us that reason.
Well, for me, it's kind of twofold. I always felt like we had a lot of energy. The agents that I hire have a lot of energy, and we're in the heart of the Energy Corridor. So the company needed to be called Energy Realty.
Awesome. Very
So-
good.
In fact, one of my colors is orange, so always have a touch of orange in everything I wear, almost.
Very good. Well, I know that not all of your area, obviously, because you work a lot of areas of Houston, but one of those areas is right there in the Memorial area, which was really struck hard when the dam was released, right, during the storm of Hurricane Harvey. Is that accurate?
Very accurate. In fact, Energy Corridor was hit, zip code 77077, 77079. We are right in the middle between two of the reservoirs. And so when they opened two reservoirs simultaneously, we were hit very hard with flooding. Some houses saw up to 12 feet of water.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's never seen anything like that.
So when we look at the real estate challenges or the challenges of real estate, right? I mean, that
Yeah.
was one that nobody could have ever predicted.
Not at
correct?
all. No,
Just wasn't on anybody's radar.
not at all.
So tell us about, Michele will work with you on the strategy part of what you did to put it together, but I do know that there's some stories from a mindset place that you truly had some very intimate, I guess we would say,
Yeah.
opportunities with people. Can you share some of that with us?
Yeah, and I mean, first of all, I live in the energy corridor, and my office is in the energy corridor. So I have a rental property that flooded. That was one of the first properties hit. And then the office, it was funny, one of my agents lived across Eldridge Parkway, and he was actually watching the water rise.
Oh, wow.
And I was getting like little minute by minute coverage of, okay, you're fine right now. And then 10 minutes later, he said, I think your office is flooded too. So everything, I mean, the city shut down. So it was really, nobody could do anything. At that point, I knew I had 2 flooded houses. And then I found out that the house, my personal residence, also had flooded. So then there were 3. And in the meantime, we also manage about 60 homes. And a lot of them are in the energy corridor. So these neighborhoods that were impacted, we had about 15 tenants that flooded as well. So landlords we were responsible for their property. So, and for those first few days, it was no one knew what to do because no one had experienced anything like that. We didn't know when the water was going to recede.
I guess in those moments, can you imagine what it feels like to be responsible for so many people and their properties and their homes and their emotional state, plus your own going on right
Yeah.
at the very same time. So Sherry, share with me or share with us a little bit about the experiences that you had with people who said, that's it, we're out of here, and people that said we're going to rebuild. What was that like? As you muddled through it with your own life.
So
Yeah.
so I'll quickly tell you that one of the first things I had to do, and then I can kind of say how we were able to come in and help people out, is I had to say, okay, we can't open an office, everybody's working out of their house, but then learn shortly that I have to set up a temporary office because there was nowhere for anyone to go. So one of my agents that didn't flood let us office out of her house. So
Wow.
we did that, and I had my staff there, and then we started we obviously were getting phone calls from people that they, what do they do? We don't know when you're going to be able to get back into the house. Some of our landlords lived in other countries, so they weren't even here. So we were giving instructions that way, but the mindset was horrible because people were devastated. And there was so much emotion during that time, but there was also a lot of good emotion because, I mean, like with any catastrophe, the community tends to stand together,
Right.
and they really try to help each other out. I mean, it's very touching when you go, and even the renters, when everybody was able to leave the house and they lost everything on the first floor. And these are people that have traveled the world and collected valuable pieces of art and furniture, and they were just so open and caring about it, where they would make comments about, well, we really feel bad for the landlord that they lost this house, and so we're so sorry. And so we could say we're sorry for your loss as well. So I think it really helped that the community bonded together during that time. So I mean, I think I was so busy I didn't really have time to think about what my loss was. So it was just, how do you keep going,
Yeah.
right?
Well, I think you shared with me about one specific
Yeah.
family, and I think that our audience would really appreciate hearing this story.
Yeah, that I did. It's a sweet story. So a lot of the people that lost homes were elderly, and there's one couple in particular that's always been very dear to my heart, and they lived in my neighborhood. They were in their 80s. They had a house that was about 5,000 square foot. Initially, they thought, there's just no way we're going to come back and rebuild this. We don't need this big a space. We're not going to furnish it. So initially, they moved to Montrose and stayed in one of their son's homes, and we were going to try to sell it for some crazy price, flooded, which a lot of the homes did. But then after some time, they said, you know what, we love it here. This is our home. And this couple would come back, the house was completely flooded, gutted downstairs, and they would just sit in their backyard by their pool. And sometimes I'd drive through the neighborhood and I'd see them and I'd chat with them. And one day they said, Sherry, come join us for a glass of wine at our house. And the house was still like gutted. And so I said, okay. And so I went to the house, and upstairs you still had the upstairs. They had a little card table set up. They had their little burner, and they're vegetarians, so they're cooking a little veggie patty. So they cooked me a veggie patty, poured me a glass of wine, and I'm sitting there chatting. They said, "Yeah, we think we've decided to rebuild." And I asked them, I said, because I've talked to so many people that literally were like, "I don't ever want to see this house again. I never want to go back into the community. I have too many bad memories about this." And so I asked this couple, I said, "So are you still devastated from all of this?" And they looked at me like, what are you talking about? And he goes, "This is like, why would we be devastated? We lived through 2 wars. This is nothing."
Yeah, you have to put in perspective.
Yes, everything is about perspective. And it, with everything that I'd heard and what they went through, it suddenly dawned on me that that's the difference with our age group or today. Even myself, in my early 50s, I haven't ever experienced anything as devastating as a war. So this is as big as a catastrophe as most of us have experienced, except for if you have gone through a war. Yeah. So really, it had a big impact on me, and I thought that really puts it into perspective.
Well, you did an awesome thing to just start your business right back up immediately in the home of one of your agents. So what other strategy things did you do to turn it around? And
so, do you want to ask
ahead.
me?
Go ahead and answer that question, and then I have some questions for you.
And I remember specifically one agent saying, and she just started in the business, and she said, "Sherry, I was just starting, and things were starting to go well, and now what do I do?" And what I told her is, I said, "Go out and talk to people. People bring them cookies, just be there for them." And I said, "And I promise you, it'll come back around in some way." But that's really all I could say, because no one was thinking about immediately. You're not thinking, when I'm going to buy a house, but they were, right? And I said, don't make it about how I'm going to have business, but make it about how can we help you at this time. And that's really what we tried to do at that time. It really wasn't about, we're like, we are in a business of helping people in their homes, and this is a time when people need us more than ever, and that's what we were going to do. Yeah, that's really what we did.
Very good. I want to engage the audience with this in this section as well, because I know a lot of you, or actually almost everybody in this room, went through this with Harvey, right? And how that was affected. So curious, just jump forward to today for me. Do you feel like it's back to where you were before? Are things normal? What you would consider?
Well, the community has struggled coming back as far as values and home sales. I think initially we dealt with people that had to get into temporary housing, or they'd made the decision, let me go buy somewhere else, whether they bought in Montrose and they just got the heck out of an area that flooded. And then we sold a lot of flood properties. But I think any realtor out there today that sells in those zip codes, they know that our values were impacted. There's still a big mindset of people that are very much afraid of, oh, I don't want to buy anything that flooded. And I'd say I'm probably talking about 50% of buyers are still hesitant to buy in these areas. That market hasn't come back 100%. But I actually did a video, and I had a videographer go in a year later to really capture the silver lining behind the flood. Is these homes were dated. Yes. And needed to be updated a lot. And we did it. It was a forced update, right? But I mean, we were able to update in ways that we never would have. Like one of my homes, I completely opened up the space, tore down walls, and really made it look like a modern house, which I wouldn't have done that. If like someone's living there, I would have kept a closed floor plan. So, that's one of the things that we hopefully encourage people to do. Hey, this is your opportunity really to transform your home, and the values are going to come back.
Very good, because that's actually a really great point, is that when what feels devastating, when we can look at it as opportunity, how do we do our business differently, right? How do we come back and take the risk and change the things that maybe we were a little too scared to change, whether it's the floor plan of a house, or the fact that maybe you were a broker and you had 10 agents under you, and 3 of those agents were slacking and you weren't doing anything about it. Well, guess what? The flood probably just got rid of them, right? And took that right out of your pocket. You don't have to worry about that anymore. I will say, I learned a lot from my dad growing up, and he always said that disasters came to weed out the weak. Okay? And so it's those of us who look at what's the opportunity, how does it look different? So very good, and congratulations on
Thank you.
really, I'm hearing a strong mindset in it
Yeah.
for you, and I'm just feeling like there's some different opportunities that you decided to choose and take
Yeah.
now that we are several years down the road. So does anybody in the audience want to talk about maybe how it affected you, how it affected your business, anything you would want to throw in? I want to give you that opportunity real quick. Yep, let's give you the mic. We're just going to share this mic. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Amber Griffin with Coldwell Banker United Realtors, and I live in the energy corridor as well. We had a townhome that was nearly flooded. I mean, it was like a foot from the doorstep. We live on an island in Parkway Villages, so we were just kind of in a niche that was blessed by not being affected, if you will. But in my business, after the flood had happened, it was really difficult to find value around those areas. So once we got bounced back a little bit in the market as time had progressed, it was hard to comp the houses. And I'm just curious, did your office experience that same kind of issues, comping flooded houses versus not flooded houses versus what the market was before?
Great question. Yeah, that is a good question. Do I take the microphone back?
We're gonna let you have the microphone back, and then we'll put it back in the audience.
So even today, we're having a hard time, but I think the big difference is we couldn't differentiate the flood homes versus non-flood homes, right? On HAR, they took that away. And then all the people that didn't flood said, oh, my house is worth so much more money now because we didn't flood. What they didn't realize by not being able to separate that the entire area really was impacted because of zip code. The only way people could like really separate that was this zip code flooded, that one did not. So you still today, we're kind of seeing that the flood houses probably lost about 10 to 15% in value. I don't know if other realtors are seeing that as well. So you've got to kind of almost factor that in. You have to, and as realtors, we have to go in and look at each one. Now, if we're in the area, we know Parkway Villages did not flood, right? So we can say Fleetwood flooded, right? So we can kind of, but then you could go Briar Hills. Some of it flooded, but some of it didn't. So it's really knowing, and you know, our industry, we have 30,000 realtors. So who knows which one's flooded and which one's, you know. So we really kind of have to help guide people around. I had another kind of silly story. It's not really silly, but I had a house for sale in Nottingham that didn't flood, and I put up a did not flood rider on the sign. And the neighbor called me, and she was upset. And she said, that is so insensitive of you to do that. And I said, ma'am, I am so sorry. I totally sympathize with you. I flooded myself. But my job is to represent my client, and I have to get that message out there because people don't know. So yeah, so it's like we're not being insensitive, but we have to identify which homes didn't flood.
Yes.
Yeah.
Even though their value is impact,
Yeah.
right? It's still going to be impact, but at least the buyer would have the differentiation that the house didn't flood.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Even though the seller is being impacted by that 10%.
Yeah, because I think like in the beginning, I don't know if everybody else heard it, but like there were 80% of buyers said, oh, I don't want to go near anything. I mean, you're not talking about a foot of water or 6 inches of water in a house. You're talking in a lot of these homes, they had an average of 3 to 4 feet of water in their house, and it sat there for 2 weeks. So it's kind of, and then you have all the images on TV of
Right.
people in boats and people being rescued out of houses. It's, you know, that's not going to go away quickly.
Yeah. From a mindset perspective, where have you guys, like, do you feel like you're beyond? I heard a lot in the beginning about, like, even what you were just saying, right? Nobody's going to buy those houses. How am I ever going to do this again? This area isn't going to be good. Do you guys feel like you have moved beyond? Is it building again? Do you have anything there that we need to work on from a mindset perspective?
Jane's back there. She's got,
Yes,
and
Jane.
she flooded, so I know she's got some.
Thank you so much. It just passes.
Thank you. I'm Jane Caldwell with Coldwell Banker United Realtors. And yes, I know Sherry very well. I live in the same area she does and work the energy corridor also and the Memorial area. I did flood, so we've all been through that personal crises. But the thing that I think is important for us, and one of the best things that happened for us is change our seller's disclosure. which now they have to give so much more information on if they did flood with Harvey. And that's very helpful, I think, as realtors, because it's not showing on MLS that they flooded, but we can flip up and see the attachments, and we can look at the seller's disclosure and be able to tell our buyers that it did flood. However, I think it's our responsibility also to educate them that if the home has been remediated properly, and if it has certificates of the remediation and mold certificates, they can feel comfortable buying a home like that. Unfortunately, I think their mindset still is it's going to be cheaper. I can make a lower offer. But these homes, as Sherry mentioned, have been updated to the point that they look great.
Yeah.
And our homes that have not flooded, that haven't been updated, they're the ones that are struggling, that we struggle selling, because they don't look like the updated ones that did flood. So it's kind of a mixed situation that we're dealing with right now, but I think we are overcoming it. I think one of the things that hurt us in the energy corridor is the companies also flooded that had the employees that were buying our properties.
Right.
And they're not now giving them the same packages that they did originally. But I think that's all going to change within the next year or so. I mean, I think
good.
Houston's good. We're a fabulous city, and everybody needs to come and live here.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
I really want to hoorah you on that, because one of the things I was going to ask you, so great, all of that occurred, and how are we addressing the flip side of the mindset, right? So I think you are addressing that with the way you're marketing to your clients and letting them know, like, it was done properly. Here we can prove it was done properly. Well,
and another thing, I mean, I actually had sold a townhouse or a condo right after the flood.
Right.
And this young couple wanted it so bad, but I could smell it. And if you've lived in that flood situation, you know that smell of that mold. And I insisted, even though they had a mold certificate, the seller supposedly had this done, and it was the HOA did it. So the HOA that was responsible for remediating some of the homes, they provided these certificates, but they were done so early. And I don't think the homes were left open long enough and dried out. Well, anyway, I could smell it. So I said, you've got to have a mold inspection done, and they did, and the levels were really high. So because of a young child, they had a baby. I said, you can't bring this child. So I talked him out of the sale, and
Hey, that's a sign
it
of a
was
great
for the
realtor,
safety
I
of the
think,
child,
so.
and I sold him another property that didn't flood. So, I think it's our responsibility and fiduciary responsibility to our buyers or our sellers to make sure they have done the correct inspections. And even with our sellers, that some of them had their homes remediated, they weren't done correctly, because we had a lot of people that came in that didn't know what they were doing.
Very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, give her a hand. I have a question.
Great, and then we're going to go to break.
Okay, then we're going to go to break. Oh, it'll take longer for an answer. We'll pick up the question in a bit.
Okay, well, we will do that. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you
being
for having me
here
on
with us
here.
today.
Thanks.
And
Great. Thanks.
yep, so we're going to go to break, guys. We will see you when we get back, and we'll be talking to Amber Griffin in the next segment. Yay.
Going to the dentist can be really enjoyable when you come to see me at Lakeside Dental Practice.
You deserve a beautiful smile, and we are here to make that a reality. We take pride in our work, and our mission is to offer the highest quality of dental care to our community. Lakeside Dental Practice is a full-service comprehensive care facility where we assure our patients a positive experience. Book an appointment and become part of our dental family.
We will design the best treatment plan for you.
This season, you will fall for these prices. It's time for family and friends to gather around. This sofa, love seat, and recliner is only $14.99. And this beautiful dining room set for only $9.99. This complete marble top bedroom set for only $22.49.
We are family owned and offer name brand home furniture at great prices and credit for everyone.
You're approved, and you're approved. Come see us at Furniture Outlet, where we have the values you want.
Welcome back to Mind Your Own Business. We are here today in this segment with Amber Griffin. So Amber, I'm going to let you tell them a little bit about who you are, what you do, and then we'll go from there.
Sounds like a plan. Thank you,
Awesome.
ladies.
You're welcome.
My name is Amber Griffin, as she said, and I'm with Coldwell Banker United Realtors. I've been a licensed agent for the last 18 years in real estate. When I started in real estate, I was assisting top producers, so that's kind of where I came from. I had a background of helping others achieve success in real estate. So I happened to be taught and learned by a lot of fantastic women, especially women, realtors in our industry, and so it really gave me a launch for a lot of great things. So that's where I kind of came from.
Very cool. And so what are you doing now?
So now I have a team of my own with Coldwell Banker and have for the last few years. And it's just been, it's been a great ride, and I've loved mentoring my team, and they bring me joy, and you know, the iron sharpens iron kind of thing is really, you know, played out in our on our team. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I'm a hand talker.
That's right, so am I. We get it. You're doing awesome.
Yeah, you are. So I know you've got, you know, some depth to your story like most people do. You want to share some of that? What part would you?
Sure, absolutely. So it's been about 5 years ago or 6 years ago that I started getting professionally coached in real estate on how to grow a team and how to leverage relationships in the team and how to service our clients better with, you know, checklists and, you know, all the structure to service the clients. Sorry. My hands are moving.
You're okay.
Just start that part over,
Okay.
but listen, you can move your hands.
Okay.
Yes.
Just don't slap your legs.
Okay.
Okay.
Which is my best.
Yeah. All right. Very good.
Okay. So it's been about 6 years ago or so I started getting coached in real estate on systems and procedures, how to have a better transaction with a client, with checklist, profit and loss, budget, things that realtors really aren't good at. And it's been an amazing journey through that process. That's the time when I really started structuring my team and building that team. And had my foot on the gas, world on fire, like really achieving things, just really going places, and was really excited about life. And then almost 4 years ago now, I think it was, I lost my oldest son, Blaine. He was 25 years old, and it really shook my world off its complete axis. So, yeah. So it's been a really long journey to try to continue to live fully, and I didn't, of course. I had just recently married the love of my life, and I just felt really sad. He was great, by the way, but I just really felt so sad that he basically married somebody that he fell in love with, which was a fireball, and then he got a shell of me for a long time because it took a long journey to get back up, I guess is the best way to put it. Yeah.
What effect did that obviously have on your business?
Oh, a tremendous effect on my business because I pretty much took my foot off the gas, and it was full speed ahead before. Yeah, and understandably, I just didn't really care about a lot of things except just finding my way through all the day-to-day stuff, right? You know.
You were still going to the office?
Yeah,
doing those have to do things?
I did. Well, at the time, I had a full-time assistant that literally saved me, picked me up, literally all my business, everything. Nobody knew that they knew that I was gone because she shared with my clients what was going on at the time. But nobody felt the impact of it. So I don't know what I would have done without that support. But yes, at some point I, you know, just checked out and just was more like smell the roses, or I'm reading self-help books and just trying to make it through the motions, you know. So it's been a journey.
Okay.
Yeah.
So something shifted for you.
Yeah.
Or we met you in November, or actually we met you at an event prior to November, but you came to our event in November. And, you know, what was it, what do you think was the shift initially? And then we can talk about some of the things we've done since then.
Okay. Well, I'd like to say when we met, I think it was October or November. November-ish? Okay.
November-ish.
I can't remember
Yes,
what
October,
it was.
November, I can't remember.
So just to back up a little bit, this last year my husband and I started getting in investing stuff, and we wanted to start flipping properties. So I literally struggled all last year on top of the other things going on, trying to find a flip property to rehab. And of course, you would think, I'm a realtor, I can find one of those. But with our situation and not wanting to pull money out of the stock market, we needed hard money, and the gap had to be a certain divide and all those things. But anyway, it was a very huge struggle this last year trying to find that right property. And about the time we met, I'd like to go back and look at the date now because dates are a big thing to me now.
Yeah, we will.
But about that time I met the two of you, we finally landed our first flip. So that was probably a God thing between all of that, by the way. So, I mean, I know all of it is. But between me meeting you girls at the event and me being committed to coach that day, that was a mind shift thing. Totally, because literally I was just showing up where I needed to when I was supposed to, not on fire and not on purpose anymore. So when I met y'all that day at the half-day workshop, I was like, I used to get coached. I'm getting coached again, and I'm gonna be, I'm gonna be back. I'm gonna get back to me,
Yeah.
And at the same time, with that flip house property, as much as I wanted that house that whole year, we tried so hard. When we started looking at when we acquired it, when we closed on it, when we rehabbed it, every single symbol of this house has been something for my son. Every single thing. The day we got the offer, I mean, it's mind-blowing. You would not believe, I can believe it, actually. I can believe it. It's just the craziest thing. Every single detail, from the closing date.
All can relate to your son
To
at
everything,
some key point
everything.
or another.
The offer price, the list price, and how we got to there. I mean, it's just been, we were going to list at one price, and then something went on the market there, so we bumped our price up, and then I sat bolt upright in bed that night and was like, that number has to mean something to me. And I'm like, that's the day he became an angel. I mean, every single thing, every offer date, we got 2 offers. The offer date, for this journey, it's helped me find my why again. So yeah, the company's named after him. Through the process, we committed to giving some of the net proceeds to things that I think he would be in favor of.
It's good.
And just literally found my why again.
Found your why again.
And I'm a really big part of it too.
You're doing awesome. You're doing awesome. So tell us now, what is, I mean, we can obviously see. So what is your why, and what is the shift in mindset and the shift in the strategy? What is it bringing forth? What's your forward motion now?
What's not?
Oh,
yeah, she is a little. She's back to Fireball. I'm going to give her that one.
Yeah, for sure. Well, the new why, I guess, I gave me purpose again. Like, if I can contribute back, if I can do something to flip, I love. My husband and I are addicted to it, and we are in love with it. So that was a cool thing that we bonded over relationship-wise. Yeah. But then knowing that it's honoring my son, and that it's giving back to something that took his life, and how I know God's going to use me to do that and affect others. So that's the big whys and what's happening in the shift. But going back to coaching it again, and this is just not, I'm not making it about you, I promise, but it really is about you girls, right? I mean, and it's about God too, I promise. No, I mean, now it's like I'm back to that girl that when was coach thought anything in the world was possible. And so since I'm being coached again, I am now writing a book. I am coaching people. I am now I've got staging jobs from the staging of the house that was built or was made in love of him. Blessings are just unfolding left and right. I have great new relationships and friendships, and I met a wonderful couple. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Showed the house to a wonderful couple, and we're bonding and we're madly in love. And I just went to list their house on Sunday, and I'm selling my house. They're not buying mine because they couldn't get it in time. But we opened a bottle of wine, and we're sold. I mean, literally by the end of the story that I was telling them with the house, I painted 7 pictures in that house. I started painting because of the project. And just random, I'm gonna go just paint some stuff and put it on the wall, see what happens. And I loved it. And 7 paintings went in this house. And so I was telling a friend of mine that. I said, I'm sure it means something, but I'm not sure what it was. And she says, his birthday was in July.
7 houses, right?
Seven paintings.
I mean, 7 paintings, yeah.
And then it hit me when I was speaking to my girlfriend that the 7th painting that went in the house was something I had bought from her 20-something years ago. It was at her shop. It wasn't her painting, and it wasn't my style anymore, and it was flaking off, and I thought, I know a little bit about painting now. I'm going to paint it right over it, and I did. And so the 7th picture that went in the house happened to be discovered through that conversation with her. So I'm sharing that with those clients, and they are crying with me. And they're like, we know God put us that house to meet you, not about the house. When I told them it sold, actually I said, I'm so sorry it sold already. They were like, that's great. We knew we were there just to meet you.
So why don't we talk a little bit about the things that we've been focusing on in your coaching and your strategy of the change. Because one of the first things we did, and I really want to bring this out for everybody, because for me, it's extremely important to understand the numbers. And so, you know, I asked her, what did you make last year? What did you make the last 3 years? What did you make the last 5 years? What do you want to make this year? And then we sat down and said, okay, so there's going to be this much revenue comes out of what you're going to close. There's going to be this much revenue out of your team, this much revenue out of flipping. We know exactly how many houses and how much each of those should be profited at. When we get on the coaching calls, this is how I know I got to go get her, right? We get on the coach, she's like, oh, by the way, we need to add a new revenue stream because I'm going to start. I'm like, okay, no problem. I just pull up the schedule and we add in a new revenue stream, right?
I call those buckets.
Buckets, that's exactly what you call those.
Buckets, fill the buckets, right?
Yes. Yeah. So what do you think, what was like maybe one of the first couple of things we did that you thought was extremely powerful?
Well, just looking at the damn numbers.
Yeah. You know what? By the way, all of my clients call it that. They don't ever want to look at the numbers.
Right. I knew where they were-ish, but to really put it in black and white and see, like, oh, yeah, it was like very painful. And I think that's what I said to you. Oh my God, this has been very painful. But you have to know the numbers to know where you're going.
That's right. So often in the mindset of numbers is that we feel that when we look, then we're going to start judging ourselves, right? And that chatter starts in our head and starts talking about what we didn't do or we thought we should have done better. And all that chatter gets rolling. Once you can take a deep breath and follow that guidance of knowing the numbers. How many of you really know the numbers? You don't have to raise your hand, but you can. How many of you really, really know the numbers? Yeah. Because you mostly know the numbers here, right? Oh, well, and that's not the true numbers. Sometimes it's surprising to find out how well you did, right?
Right, right.
But you certainly know then from that what direction and how to get to where you're going.
Yeah, we have a schedule that we're working from that has all of her revenue streams broken out by quarter, by month. And so we're completing it as we go. We can see how far we are to the goal, how far we are away from the goal. And we sat down and said, okay, we think we can accomplish 20% in the first quarter and 40% in the second. You know, we got that detailed about it. So
I know with some of our clients we've worked with over the years where they won't do the numbers. Michele said, you don't do the numbers?
Yeah, they won't. There are people that will not.
Won't do the numbers. Okay, great. Well, until you talk to Belanie and you get past what's going on about you and
like
your numbers. Seriously, that's because what's critical here is strategy is great information. And if you don't act on it, what? It's just great information.
Right.
And mindset's great head to understand, but if you don't have the strategy, you can't also take the action. So that's what's...
So as we got clear on the numbers, and I'm just going to talk for you for a minute.
Well, okay, go ahead.
Well, did you want to add something to that?
No, well, I want to say that the reason I didn't want to look at the numbers is I didn't want to do anything about them.
That's right. Yeah, exactly.
It wasn't that I was going to shame myself. I just didn't want to get up and do anything about it.
That's right. But for whatever the reason mattered not, right? You were, I got to look at the numbers someday, right?
Yes.
And as soon as I committed to doing that, I was like, oh my gosh, I just feel like I have a roadmap again.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then we said, okay, what are you going to do to achieve the numbers, right? There's the next step in the strategy is looking at how are you going to market it? Who, are you, she has a team, right? So we needed to have conversations with the team members and say, what are you committing to? And what does that look like for us as a team? We went back and said, okay, so how long you been holding on to those postcards you're going to send out, right? That never seem to get sent out, and now that's part of the strategy. And so we have several of those kind of strategies in place.
Right, and I also want to say that Katina will attest, she's on my team. I also went back to her and said, I'm sorry, I've let you down this year. Remember this conversation?
Very good.
And I was not the leader that I needed to be, but I'm committed to being that again.
Right.
So we're a great team. I think we have a great team. A lot of love.
Well, with a great team leader, a team, you know, when the team wins, the team leader wins, right?
We
so
all
it's
win. We all
exactly.
win.
It's a win-win.
Yeah. So lots of strategies in place, lots of roadmaps, and then again, I usually get on the call. I'm like, well, let me just tell you all the things I got going on right now.
That's exactly how it is. Every time.
And I'm like, oh, but I didn't get to that. I didn't get to that little thing I didn't really want to do.
I got to do that one.
But I got to do it still.
I got to do it.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. All right, very good. Anything else you want to add here before I ask them if they have questions?
I think I'm good.
Okay, very good. So anyone out there want to? Yep, I see hands already. Look, the mic is down on that end if you don't mind passing it down.
Amber, first and foremost, thank you for sharing. Your story was touching, was just one of the reasons why I even came to work with you. That was our interview, and we both were crying and fell in love, and now I've been with you for about 3 years now, so I thank you for sharing it. I have a question, and I'm Katina Chimney with Coldwell Banker Realty Memorial Office. When you say the things that you don't want to do, what strategy or mindset have they coached you to get over the things that you don't want to do, the little things? I mean, you can get excited about things you're confident about doing and you want to do, but the little things that may make the difference, what's your mindset or strategy for that?
For me personally, what I can say is when I found my new why again for me, and you may have your why already, right? But I mean, I had to refine mine. For me, the new why blew so much life into me that everything else doesn't, there's nothing I don't want to do now.
And I'll add to that and say that sometimes when we are looking at our business, and this can happen for me, I'm a business strategist, but I'm still trying to run my own business, right? We can complicate things, and we can, you know, and so we would talk about strategies, and my goal is to look for what's the simplest, easiest. Should you be doing it? Should somebody on your team be doing it? You know, break it down to just the most simple steps that I possibly can, and then you can just take that step, right? So
we did talk about all that. Yeah. Who's going to do this for you? What are you going to do?
Right.
Yeah. Most of the time, what gets wound up in the mindset is you're looking at the big stuff, and that's why you're asking about the little stuff. And so we have this conversation called break it down, break it down, break it down. I'll never forget one time myself personally, I had to generate $45,000 in about 7 weeks. And so it was like I broke it down through her guidance as coach, broke it down to what do I need to generate today and every day over this next 6 weeks, and landed it at about halfway through the 6-week period of time, right? It's break it down. It's learn how to get out of the big scene and bring it down to the little things, and then we can find out what mindset blockage is going on, if there is any, and take the actions.
I will say that when my clients continue to say, oh, I didn't get to that. Oh, I didn't get to that. Oh, I didn't get to that. And I see that for weeks after week after week. I'm like, okay, you're calling Belanie, right? Because it's a mindset issue.
Right.
Because we will avoid that which we don't want to do.
Speak soon.
Kidding. Very good. So I saw a hand right behind you. Thank you very much.
And I'm Natalie O'Day. I'm a branch manager over at Coldwell Banker. And several of my agents are in the office, or here in the audience, and I'm blessed to have Amber in my office. She does a great job. She's that mentor that really took the time to have that raw, honest conversation with herself to get to this point. So I'm so proud of you. My question is, being a branch manager and bringing in agents that are all different levels, sometimes you have agents that don't have that why yet, and they're trying to find a way to be able to do those activities, and quite often what I find is they spend a lot of time getting ready to get ready.
Yes.
Boy. Yeah.
So what would you say to them?
So this is what I'm hearing. Are they new in the industry? They're not new in the industry.
Most of them are fairly new, within a couple of years.
Industry. So my guess would be their biggest issue is not being known, right? So that would actually probably be where I would have them start, is you have got to get out, you've got to network, you've got to do your social media, you've got to do the things we know work. And I get it. I heard the voice that said, well, social media doesn't work and networking doesn't work anymore. I'm telling you guys, it works, okay? It does. It's just a fact. People are, so y'all sit in an industry that actually is so designed for social media marketing, right? Because you have a visual aspect. You can do videos, you can do pictures. People love that. That's why Facebook redesigned the whole homepage so that the images are bigger and the videos are bigger. So if you're sitting on a mindset issue about social media, talk to her.
First off, if they're sitting there getting ready to get ready, that is a mindset issue.
Yes.
Totally absolute mindset issue. And not knowing really, they're getting guidance from you as a manager, directing them on you need to do this and that, and some of these are the methods for the delivery of that. However, the mindset issue, I will tell you, in I forget the year, 93. In 93, when I started this business, I also went independent and had my own mortgage brokerage firm at that point in 93. I was doing both at the same time. And I had my office perfect.
Oh, yeah.
Every file had a label. You relate, right?
Right.
Every file had a label. Everything had all of it, right? And then I walked in one morning going, oh my God, what am I supposed to do? My phone's not ringing. And I'd been in the industry for years, but I never called on agents because I did corporate reload direct with corporations. So I didn't call on agents. What am I going to do? I learned this. To feed my faith, and my doubts would starve to death, and then I started landing what was going on in my mindset every time I wanted to pick up that phone. And that's what we teach, is what's going on in here that you cannot hear and you cannot see that's causing the chatter to have you be ready, getting ready to get ready. And that can be handled like that. It can be handled very quickly, and it is a mindset issue.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Yes, you're
Very
welcome.
good, very good.
You're welcome.
We're getting ready to have to wrap the show up. Anyone else want to do something real quick? Awesome.
I'm Peggy O'Connor with the Moving Houston team out of Keller Williams Memorial. And I have a unique situation in that my team is there, but I live in Tomball. So I can service both the city of Houston and Tomball in the Magnolia area. And as we were talking earlier, yes, the hurricane affected the energy corridor in a lot of very concentrated areas. But Houston is so vast that we have other universes,
Right.
doing business as well. And in my area, you can't swing a dead cat and not hit new construction. So buyers are coming. They're coming by the truckloads. But how do you find them?
Right.
So what's the mindset for sitting in a very rich opportunity? That landscape's very rich out where I am, and finding the buyers to come in and fill those homes.
So my first question actually would be your question, and that would be, is there the belief there that she can fill them?
Yeah, so first you have to come to the belief and empower within yourself that they're there for you. You guys, nothing was ever created or done in the past, in the present, or in the future to be that isn't first imagined. So you think when they start coming, then you can believe that you're going to have them. I'm saying you have to see them coming here first, and then they will appear. Visualization is a process, and the creation of them showing up literally will have them showing up at your door.
Would you like to come to Tomball with me?
I'm serious.
I'm going to see him next door to me.
It has to start at home, in here. As long as you are occupying the conversation that you're currently having, right, as a real conversation, and that's true with all of it, even the rural areas, right, and the land, you have to first imagine that they're coming to you. Because they're coming somewhere, and you're having a conversation that they're not coming to you. You're 100% accurate. So just shift the accuracy. Okay?
Sorry, I'm trying to hug it.
So I'm just going to say, I think what a lot of people are thinking is that one of the struggles today as a realtor is the mindset of the buyer that's out there. So you're going to envision them coming there, but you've got a buyer going, wait a second, I don't need you to find the property, right? It's all new construction. I can walk in the door and I can do that. So one of the things that we have to get good at is understand why the buyer needs us to guide them through that process and what it is that we're going to offer.
Exactly. You get clear about that, and then envision that they know that, and then they will be there.
Yeah, and that's where
I know
you
this
can.
may sound a little airy-fairy. I'm not airy-fairy. I'm factual delivery that it works. So you're exactly accurate. You have got to first be that they're there for your help. I heard a whole other conversation I probably shouldn't say on the air, but I'll tell you on the break. Seriously, about they need you. Even if they're going to the new property, they need you.
And then it's very important that we get really clear on who we're looking for and who we're expecting to show up. So do you want the person who thinks, oh, I can just go find the property myself? No, let them be out there finding the property themselves. There's a ton of us that don't think that, by the way, guys, right? So you create who you're looking for and get very clear, speak their language, market to them, show up where they are, and it works.
And you'll be led to knowing where to show up, that they are.
Okay, I'm going to have to.
Really going
I'm
now,
telling
right?
you.
Their minds are really in it now.
But
Mic drop.
yes,
Mic drop.
I was going to say we have to leave it on that one because we have to wrap this show up.
I know.
So you guys have been awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you to both of our guests for being here. Belanie, any closing words you want to?
Oh gosh, me without words? You stopped me in the middle of my words. What can I say? It's just been awesome being with you, and what an attentive and enjoyable audience that you've been in. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
And thank you, Sherry, for your guests as well.
Yeah. Wonderful first show.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
We'll see you soon.